Hello everyone, welcome to Fantasy Forge. I'm Cameron Holt, dungeon master, artist, musician, illustrator, all that jazz, and today I'm going to tell you about a loyal band of misguided heroes, a job too good to pass up, and a fawn that was better left alone. I should preface that this was not a party of murder hobos. These were rich, intricate characters with complex emotions, but sometimes things are easily overlooked if the price is right. Vendetta, the tiefling monk, has always struggled to fit in with society. An urchin raised by the harsh streets of Goldrun, the capital city of Vassacre, he did what he had to in order to survive. Following the guidance of the Monastery of the Lost, Vendetta continually seeks to better himself and strives for greatness. However, old habits die hard, and relapses are abundant. Magnus, the Goliath barbarian, outwardly a simple brute, he uses his wide frame and rippling physique to distract from the clever mind he hides within. A humble charlatan, Magnus prefers nature to the bustling cities, but if he must tread the cobbled streets, he'll be sure to shave any gold coins he comes across in order to stretch his funds. Theron Trickfoot, the human rogue, isn't one to hog the spotlight. He prefers to stick to the shadows and mostly keeps to himself. If Theron sees something he fancies, he'll do what he needs to in order to make it his. He prefers to avoid wanton murder, but he doesn't view much as being beneath him. Renault is a mysterious sort. A human paladin who's broken his oath and prefers to keep his helmet on. Those who have seen his face describe it as pale and sallow, as if there were hardly any life left in him. Having large gaps in his memory from his troubled past, Renault is now a wandering holy knight for hire, offering his services to the highest bidder. After meeting through a local mercenary group known as the Bringer's Hand, the ragtag group of intrepid adventurers began calling themselves the Night Shift, taking on the jobs that the more posh and proper adventuring groups tended to shy away from. With Vendetta as their main moral guide, the unlikely heroes set out to try and better their ways. However, making a living as adventurers for hire works much better with a base of operations, and owning property in Goldrun requires no small amount of coin. The Night Shift had nearly reached their goal of raising enough money to open their own vineyard, a way to make some extra funds while also providing a headquarters for their adventuring work, and a place to keep their loot. Having made a bit of a name for themselves around town already, they received a tip that a local lord was seeking some help from a party that can be discreet. This was right up their alley, so the party arranged a meeting with Lord Gimble of Foxburn, a nearby mining and lumber town. Arriving at Lord Gimble's office, the first thing the party noticed were the lavish and extravagant decor of the lowly lord's abode. Sure, he was nobility, but his estate was on a level that rivaled royalty.
Hail and well met, adventurers. I trust you're all in fine spirits and health this day.
Lord Gimble opened.
We can skip the pleasantries, my lord. What is it that you need done?
Renault asked plainly, and seemingly annoyed by Gimble's upper crust nature.
Straight to business, eh? I appreciate that. You see, it's my daughter. I recently discovered that she's been sneaking off into the Boar's Run Wood to the north in the night. I had one of my trusted guards follow her one evening, and I could not be more troubled by what he discovered. You see, he reported that my beloved Emmeline was consorting with a fawn.
Now, the party up to this point hadn't had much experience with the Fae, in-game or in general. For a lot of us, this was our first time getting to play D&D in a homebrew world that I had created myself. They sat looking incredulously at Lord Gimble as he stared at them a bit expectantly. "So, what do you need us to do, kill him?" Theron asked.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that,
Vendetta chimed in.
Oh, no. Nothing quite so base, good chaps. I simply need you to deliver a message. This Fawn, Lefyr's his name, I believe, is never to see my daughter again, and that's that. The noble Gimble name need not be sullied by such a lowly and base fey trickster. Can you do this for me? He asked.
What's it pay? Magnus chimed in, still on the fence.
Well, should you adequately handle the problem, I should think that 600 gold each will suffice. What say you?
The party was floored by this ludicrous amount. With a total of 2,400 gold pieces, the party would have not only enough to purchase the vineyard, but enough left over to hire staff to care for and run the business in their stead. It was too good to pass up. After getting some information from Gimble's guard as to where he saw Lefyr the Fawn, the sun set before the party heard the faint melodies of a distant flute as they traveled through the Boar's Run wood. A thin trail of smoke rose in the distance. Theron lit up a torch for those party members without dark vision, and they made their way towards the climbing column. After a few miles, the night shift came across a small clearing containing a humble tent, a basic campfire, and the visage of a small, cheerful fawn. He sat playing his flute, facing away from the party. He didn't seem to notice them. "It doesn't look like he has any weapons nearby," Vendetta said. "True, but we don't know if he knows any magic," Theron retorted.
Let's get this over with.
Renault stepped out into the clearing and approached Lefyr. The others hesitantly followed behind him. Renault, Magnus, and Vendetta stood before Lefyr. He stopped playing his flute and looked them over with a kind but confused look. Theron peeked his head into the small tent and discovered that it was bigger on the inside. Seeing a few loose coins scattered about the tent, Theron stepped inside. Hello there. Can I help you, gentlemen? Sir, that's my tent." As the fawn peered around to address Theron entering his home, Renault grabbed Lefyr by the wrist and snapped it at the joint. Then, as brutal as can be, he uses his lay-on-hands ability to instantly heal the wound before breaking it again. Around this time, having filled his pockets, Theron exited the tent, seeing the horror show unfolding before him.
You will never see Lady Emmeline again, understand? Understand?
Renault said. "I understand," Lefyr cried. Magnus and Vendetta were visibly horrified. Theron shrugged, then lit the tent aflame with his torch. Then the night shift left Lefyr there, crying and broken, watching all of his worldly possessions aside from his flute go up in flames. Now, as a DM, there comes a time in most games where there must be consequences for players' actions. Here we have a group of so-called heroes who were willing to resort to any base methods they could think of, albeit creatively, for the promise of coin. So that got me thinking, how can I twist this situation narratively so that the players may come to regret their barbaric actions? In the end, I settled on something that still comes up in my games within the world of Vengeful to this day. The night shift returned to Lord Gimble and received their payment. It was just enough for them to start their vineyard and a steady source of income on top of their findings from adventures. Lord Gimble looked at the party with gratitude and surprise at their return.
Well, that was incredibly bold and brave of you, gentlemen. Bravo! Bravissimo! Not many men would tangle with the Fae so readily, Gimble said.
What do you mean? Vendetta asked.
Oh, well, I assumed it was common knowledge. Fawns are quite adept magic users. They may appear cheerful and jolly, but if crossed, well, I don't know of any creature that is more vengeful, he explained.
A grim silence fell over the group. Their heads turned slowly towards Renault.
I'm sure it'll be fine, he said, shaking it off. I mean, how would he ever even find us?
And that, dear viewers, is how the night shift welcomed the wrath of a vengeful Fae. A wrath that would follow them for many sessions to come. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to learn more about Lefyr and the Night Shift, or the many other exploits of adventurers through Vengeful, the best way to let me know is by subscribing to Fantasy Forge and leaving a comment on the video below. With that, I'll see all of you in the next video. But until then, stay safe out there, adventurers.